Music to my ears. That sweet sound. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to round 9. This is the pre-show, the RMFantasy SX. I am Kobe. This is Wes.
What's up, guys?
AKA Pitter Patty Cakes.
That's right. This year, I changed my fantasy name to Pitter Patty Cakes.
And you actually have a record, though. This year, not so much. Wes actually was top. What were you? In Rocky Mountain, you had a solid finish last year.
I won the class here at Rocky Mountain. So
he's no joke.
Nice little bonus check in there for me.
Yeah.
So obviously Chase is not here. He had kind of a family procedure going on, so hope him the best and speedy recovery for them.
Yep. Just talk to him. Everything is good. But yeah, Chase is not here today. Christian is also a very busy man. He did what he could to help us out. But yeah, we got Wes filling in for us today. And yeah, we're very excited. Pre-show, stats. We got so many things to go through. Let's start off with our prizes, though. That never fails. Weekly, what is up for grabs? We'll get that with Levi here in a moment.
Cue it up, buddy.
ATR1, I said this Monday, that is no joke. A 60 helmet for first place, a Cherby in second. O'Neill gear set there in third. Bridgestone, solid, always there in fourth place, it seems like, with a set of Battlecross tires. Can't go wrong with that. Rounding out that top 10 is Rhino Power, LS2, Works Connection. We got Fly Casual Hookup, as well as Troy Lee, and the Scotia Boom Bottle. But what really you guys are seeking is these bikes. Holy cow.
Yeah,
KTM.
They are here, guys. They are here at the warehouse.
They're the real deal. They
ready
exist.
to be prepped. So pretty bikes. So pumped on those.
Oh, wow, so many people. I love this. Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, Gunny, thanks. There's some great memes. We'll get to those, too. Oh, they never fail. I appreciate you guys putting those together. It is a good laugh, especially Monday mornings after the race weekends.
Keep them coming.
But let's just go through some of our points here. So, speaking of points, the top 3 riders, we all know this is crazy. This is as close as it's been between 3 riders in a very, very long time. I believe Webb is 5 points down. And I'm going to jump the gun a little bit here because we talked about this earlier, but who do you have to win this weekend?
All right. There's a lot playing into this. But basically I'm following the pattern of Webb and Tomac. So I don't know if it's smart, but I'm putting Webb to win this weekend.
I agree with Wes. It seems, as we will see in his stats, Webb has been 1-2, 1-2 for like the past 4 rounds, and if that trend continues, Webb will be on that top step. But before we get too deep, I do want to, as you guys probably saw in the thumbnail, we have Justin Brayton calling in here in about 15, 20 minutes. Excited to get some insight from him.
So pumped to talk to him.
Yeah, for sure. Tons of questions.
Big fan.
He is no joke, so pumped to get to talk to him for a little bit. But yeah, what else do we got? Let's see. 7 riders have led laps this season. I don't know how. I don't know if we're going to get any new guys this weekend. Good news is one of those guys is AC, and I believe if the entry list is correct, the AC will be back, which is refreshing. Good for him.
But we don't know about Ferrandis yet.
Yeah, we don't see Ferrandis on the entry list for this week. Again, this is all we're just doing all we can to research these stats. You'll just have to pay attention to qualifying come race day and make sure. But we do, in the case that they both race, we do have some stats for them. They're both some pretty solid wildcard picks. Wildcard is 8th place this week. We're getting higher up. We were a ways back with our wildcard picks. I think it was like 13th, 15th, 14th. And
breaking
honestly,
the top 10 finally, right? Is that any easier to pick?
That's a good question.
Is it not? I don't know. I feel like it makes it almost harder because the top 10, after the podium gets mixed up quite a bit, I guess. So
yeah, it definitely does.
Levi, let's jump over to the fantasy site. Give these guys a deal.
Oh, yeah, good point.
So before we get too deep into it, hopefully you guys are checking out the deal in the top left corner of the website every week. There's something always on sale right there. So this week, obviously, it's the Pro Caliber tire gauge. Tire pressure is probably the most overlooked thing that you should be checking every time you're going out to ride. So pick one of those up while they're on sale. If you don't,
you need one. Yeah, that is for sure. So
yep.
Glad you pointed that out. Sid Sorensen with Sexton all the way. That makes me go, Sid. Let's hop into track trends. We switched up the role a little bit last week. We will have some clips actually after we break this track down from Indy last year. It was super fun to do that with Daytona, so we're going to keep that trend rolling. But with track trends, I don't know. First things first, a very short start straight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carnage.
I mean,
in the first corner.
Absolutely. I guess the only other thing they could have done is just to run it straight down the middle like they do sometimes, but that does take a ton of real estate up. But yeah, it is super short, straight into a 90. That's going to be so important. I don't really know what to back this up with, but I just don't feel like there's going to be a bunch of passing on this track. There's just not a bunch of complicated rhythm sections. We'll have to see come qualifying what they're doing, if there's a bunch of diversity in the line choice. But yeah, I'm kind of nervous it's going to be one-lined, and that starts is going to be king. It always is, but even more so.
We'll see what the dirt does, though. Last year was pretty chaotic race here at Indy. So, yeah, lots to talk about with that. I did like the track from last year, though. They were doing a cool, like, quad option after the finish line, which I thought was sweet. So,
heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's known to be a very... words from Marvin Muscan, he says this is like the first round usually in the series where they get some really gnarly ruts and it just breaks down. So those riders will shine, ones that can handle that.
I just have to say, isn't it wild that we're halfway through the season though? It feels like I don't know, so much has happened already, but we're only halfway through. I love it.
No, plenty to go, and that's got to be comforting for guys like us. I mean, dude, we're not even in the 400s for our points. So we got plenty of time to make that up, hopefully.
I do not claim to be an SXpert. I'm just filling in today, guys. So, yes, stay away from my advice.
That's funny. Let's go to some of those clips from last year. There was some crazy highlights. Was it the LCQ that we had the O'Neill team members just beating each other up? I mean, first they get beat up on their own going down.
Oh, my gosh.
I completely forgot about all of this. And as we come back, we just got MMA going on.
Is that a bear hug? I don't know.
It is always so funny to me to see guys fighting with full moto gear. It just makes zero sense.
They're only guy... They're safe, though. That's the important
safe.
thing. Their head is safe, right?
The most successful I've seen at somebody with a moto fight was obviously the Pike versus Freezy, where he went for the neck. That's the only exposed part you got. Yeah, I guess there's your debate with the whole, are neck braces worth it? Yeah, if you're racing against Weston Pike, they are.
If you're planning on taking people out, maybe.
Oh, my gosh.
Option to be safe.
What else do we got from there? That was not the only get-together that we saw. As you can see here, these guys, we have plenty to talk about with these two. But that was a spicy move. Barsha
looks back to make sure he's on the ground and then acts like,
he was checking.
Go down?
If he was up on two wheels, he obviously wouldn't have. Where's that other view, Levi, where you see Barsha raise his hand as if he had no other option, that this was completely unintentional. The AMA or Peacock cut it out.
Look at how far behind.
Oh, there's Tomac.
Oh, yeah. There comes Tomac.
So, if you look at the timing, Tomac, that's kind of what allowed Tomac to really gain some time on Barsha. Barsha ended up second. He had a good run here last year. But I don't know. Barsha. You just got to I had to show you guys that, especially after last weekend with Sexton and Barsha coming together a little bit.
Mookie had a bad one. It always sucks
hurts
to see. Dang it. I know he clips his front tire on this bump right there and just get bucked. It could have been a lot worse than it was. I mean, watching it in slow-mo, it probably grateful that he was, could have been worse.
Oh, it definitely could have been worse. And unfortunately, he won't be riding, but it sounds like Hampshire is continuing that fill-in spot. So we'll see RJ again.
Yeah, this puts us in injuries. Do we want to talk about who's in, who's out?
We can go to injuries. Going back to that, Charles is calling me out. He says I've thought about fighting a little too much when it comes to the moto stuff. I've got the technique down. I know the weak points. Anyway. So as far as our research goes, injuries, we still got Musquin out. Musquin. What's the proper way?
Musquin.
Malcolm is also out, so there's those two. And let's get that entry list pulled back up to maybe confirm Savachi. I'm not sure about Savachi too, because he is another guy that would be perfect for this wild card.
Let's see.
But as far as I know, AC is back. Ferrandis is also back. So the wild card is going to be tough. Like we said, 8th place. There are so many. It could be anywhere from Roxon. It could be Justin Hill. So we'll have to back that up with some more stats later. But as far as top contenders and some statistics about them, should we just hop into Tomac, Webb, and Sexton to break down these consistent podium finishers? So Tomac obviously bounced back. It seems to be what he does after he has a bad weekend. He bounces back the following week, and he's been 1-3, 1-5, 1-3, 1-5-1, as you can see. And
it's a pattern.
But the pattern is that he's not going back to back anymore. So, like we were mentioning earlier, I do think I have confidence that Webb or Sexton will take it. And if I have to choose between those two, obviously I'm going to go with Webb. Started worse than 3rd in the last 5 main event gate drops. Christian, whoa. Hasn't started. Yeah, I was going to say.
Did you stop the poll at the right time, Levi?
Oh, yeah. They're going to come after you.
Just checking the chat real quick. Barsh is one of the cleanest non-aggressive riders.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, Grizz.
To each their own, I guess. This is we got to focus on the starting average for Tomac. Think back at like 2017, 2018 Tomac. To say that he has the best starting average halfway through the racing season, I would have called you crazy. But he does. That starting average is, as you can see, 3, almost 3. Yeah, this Yamaha, he just loves it.
He's turned a new leaf for sure. It's a new Tomac, and really, it is setting him up to be in better positions. He's not having to fight through the pack as hard as he has in years past. So it's really done him well and really kept him in this fight with Webb, because he's brought it too this year. So
heck yeah. Thank you both to Ruben and Jesse. It sounds like Joey is out for the rest of the season, and Ferrandis, at least for this weekend.
This is out. He was not on the list. So.
But 93 laps led this season. I think Webb he's up to like 17 now after leading a little bit in Daytona, but it's still crazy that Webb is this close with only leading so many laps. It truly is wild. So last year, Tomac did end up winning this race, though. So if you're in that conspiracy corner and that kind of does manipulate your picks at all, know that Tomac did win here.
Indy.
Yep. And like Daytona, these guys just mesh with certain, except for Plessinger. What a surprise to backtrack to last weekend a little bit.
I was bummed.
I think we were all a little bummed. I mean, racing is racing. Lots of things can happen, and you're, of course, just going to have off weekends. But it is tough because now I'm looking at Plessinger as more of a wild card pick as opposed to just this consistent top 5 guy that we were starting to see towards the beginning of the season.
He caught fire quick, and then it's kind of fizzled out, which is a bummer.
So he's going to have to prove himself, I think, again before I put him back in that top 5 spot.
Yep.
But jumping the gun a little bit there, let's get some stats on Webb. Webb, holy cow, he has finished off the podium only once this season. So Mr. Consistent, it's just the name of the game when it comes to KTM. His last 5 overall finishes, as you can see there, 2-1, 2-1, 5.
Pretty much the opposite of Tomac.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not opposite, but they've alternated.
Yeah,
it's top 2 spots. So
has the second best average finish, I believe. Do we have that full best finishers graphic? Did you pull that? Let's just get that up. I just want to compare these guys side by side. Actually, I think that's going to make it easier for me. Just to riddle off a couple other ones. His last 3 standard round starts are 1-3-2. So he has been, as far as standard rounds are concerned, Webb has been on the ball with starts. So Sexton is the only guy to be beating Webb with the average best finish. Yeah, and we got Hampshire. I'm excited to get into this wild card in a little bit. But how about Sexton? Let's get to some more stats on these top contenders. Oh, there you got the best starters in the game as well. Yeah, Tomac's just leading that. That is crazy.
Who would have guessed that? Yeah, never. Tomac, it's always been his kryptonite is the start, man.
He figured it out.
He's buried and had to come through the pack. So I'm so pumped. I got to say, Tomac has just always been one of my favorites. And maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's because he's so close to, he's kind of like one of our homeboys here, a state over. So I've always rooted for him. But outdoors this last year was insane with him and Sexton battling.
It's good to have the competition.
I am hoping that it stays tight through the rest of the season with him and Webb. Because it just makes for good dang racing and so fun to watch. So.
And lucky us, we have SLC as our home round, and if they can keep it this tight till the very end, we're in for a treat. So I'm pumped.
SLC was gnarly last year.
Yep.
And the championship was already wrapped up. So yeah,
excited for that for sure. How about Sexton stats?
Sexton, let's pull him up.
Another crazy consistent guy. He and Webb both have only finished off the box once this season, which is just.
I have a hunch, though, that this weekend might be...
The one he figures it out?
No, the one he's off the box.
Really?
I know, but I'm just worried he's got a couple things stacked against him. Barsha has his name, right? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then, I just wonder that fire, watching the post-race press conference, Sexton just feeling like... It seems like he feels like he's out of the conversation already. And that's got to be firing him up. And I just am worried that he lets that get to him too much, to where he gets too fired up and it's just nerves or something. He makes a small mistake that just takes him out. So
no, I agree with that. I could see that a little bit because he didn't find himself on the ground last weekend, but he didn't have a clean race by any means, and he wasn't leading. So it's affecting him even when he's not up front. So that's
what
very
was crazy
concerning.
though, is he was right there. I mean. Any big mistake from Weber Tomac, Sexton was right there.
That's true.
But I got a question for you. Like, how is Sexton still in the conversation of the championship?
Yeah, he's definitely in it. I mean, he's only how many points down is he? I think he's around 10, which it's getting bigger and bigger. But like you mentioned, we're halfway through this season. So many things can happen.
A lot of racing.
So with this much racing left, I can't say that he's out for sure.
We have Justin on the line.
Ooh, Justin. Just in time.
Right. There you go.
Okay.
Well, I got to pick his brain about this then,
absolutely. But you guys, he needs no introduction. You guys all know Justin Brayton more than Wes and I am sure. But we appreciate him taking the time to talk to us today. I'm curious where he's at. Hopefully we can get some insight onto some of the conditions there, maybe some weather on Indy. But Justin Brayton, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you guys?
We're good.
We're good. Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, definitely.
So good to talk to you.
Absolutely. And you want a little weather update. I don't know if you can see through that window behind me, but it is snowing and it is cold, and I'm not too far from Indy. So there's a weather update.
I think you're in Utah. We are just over it.
Yeah, we're sick of the white stuff for sure. Yeah. We're ready for it to be done. So well, congrats. Grand Marshal in Daytona. I'm sure that was cool to be able to relive that whole experience and obviously be honored there. And how was that for you?
It was super cool. Obviously, Daytona is such an iconic place and just a special place overall for all motorsports. I'm a huge NASCAR fan with racing for Joe Gibbs Racing for 4 years. So really got to see the four-wheel side. And obviously Daytona, that's one of their, if not the biggest race for them. And for us, the Supercross was always so much different, but there was just something so special about that event. And then obviously 2018, being able to win, created, a whole new atmosphere for me and a whole new outlook on that place. So it's just extra special to be the first Grand Marshal. Was really cool. Brought my family down. We just had an amazing trip, and we got out of the weather in Iowa for a week and enjoyed the Florida sun. So it was a blast, and everyone at Daytona was just amazing and some great racing as well.
That's
definitely
awesome,
some great racing. You being the only guy to take any win from Tomac, were you expecting him to take it? And then Wes and I were also just having this conversation. For Webb and Sexton, the guys behind him, especially Sexton, he seemed to have a little bit of an off night. Do you give us your insight on maybe Sexton's mentality? Do you think Sexton's feeling a little bit left out of the conversation already and maybe concerned about his position in this championship?
I don't think he feels left out, but if he has another week or two, the points start to add up, right? I mean, he's 10 down right now. The hard part was in Daytona, it was just similar to what we had seen the whole year. Super fast in qualifying. on Friday, I picked Tomac to win. I'm like, how could you ever bet against Tomac? And then I took the bait on Sexton again. Watching him through qualifying, it's just like, it's unbelievable.
It's hard
how
not
he
to.
rides his motorcycle. It looks so effortless. His intensity is off the chart. He rarely makes that many mistakes in practice. Like when we're following him on Race Day Live, it's just like, he's unbeatable. Like if he rides like that, no one's going to beat him. And then Eli was kind of struggling through qualifying practice. So I took the bait on Chase and took him to win. And then same story, different day. Just Eli comes out as well as Coop, riding amazing. And Eli obviously gets the win, and Chase makes some mistakes and they gap him. And so kind of same story, different book, really, unfortunately. So I'm not going to take that bait anymore because look, you guys know as well as I do, he looks so good in qualifying, just absolutely amazing. Had a little bit of insight that they made some bike changes before Daytona that he was super comfortable with. So I thought maybe that was going to be the difference, but it wasn't. And Eli and Coop stretched out the points lead, and he's 10 down, but I don't think he's out of the conversation yet, but for sure, if he has another 2 weeks, losing some points, it's easy to argue that he's kind of out of this thing.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think it's definitely going to take some big mess ups or mistakes from Webb and Tomac to give Sexton that launch. So
yeah, and typically they don't make those mistakes, right? I mean, if history repeats itself at all, those two just don't really make really big mistakes.
Well, so after that drama,
it's hard to make up points on them.
After that drama with Barsha, I got to ask: Do you think that he owes Sexton anything in this next race? Should he watch out?
Well, look, I think if Barsha, it doesn't matter if he owes you one or not. He's going to give you one. I raced him for a lot of years, and it doesn't matter. So, yeah, if he's behind Chase, I mean, he already took down Chase in San Diego this year, so why wouldn't he take him down again? That's just how Barsha rides, so Chase has to expect that.
Definitely.
And I thought Barsha rode incredible. I thought he was the third best guy, and maybe if he got up there with Eli and Cooper, he could have went with them. He looked really, really good all day long.
Fastest lap of the night. His
intensity level was off the charts. Yeah, fastest lap. Like he looked super good. And I know we'll talk about Indy here in a minute, but he's good in Indy. He got second there last year. Gets really ruddy. He's good in the rut. So he could be a sleeper down the stretch. I mean, he obviously doesn't need confidence. He knows he can run with these guys and beat them at times. He's beat all of them fair and square at times. So he could be one we're not talking about that much that gets in the mix and starts beating these guys.
It would be refreshing at this point. It always is to get a new winner at this point in the series. So hopefully Barsha, there's a good chance he could be that guy. Speaking of of racers who maybe you're not so stoked to line up against every single weekend because they do like to bump elbows consistently. Can you tell me maybe throughout your Supercross career the other side, who maybe it's Eli, maybe it's even Webb, who was a guy that you had incredible battles that was just genuine on and off the track, just out there, just somebody fun to race against?
Honestly, there's a lot of them. There really is a lot of guys that race super fair. Eli's really fair. You know, my time was more Dungy and Villapoto battling with those guys, and they were both super fair. They just raced really clean. Really the only two that come to mind, and they know it, is Anderson and Barsha. Those guys were so difficult to race. They raced you so hard, and I'm okay with racing hard. But yeah, sometimes it got borderline dirty, and they had different mentalities though, where I got Anderson back in 2020 in San Diego, and I took him out pretty hard. It was a long time coming. I needed to do it. And he was like, yeah, cool, man. You owed me a couple. You got me. All good. So I respect that. Barsha's a little different. Like if you get him, he gets upset. And
sure.
But now I was always fine with Barsha off the track. I actually think he's a really good dude. He's just hard to race. And I did a great interview with him. He opened up a lot in Oakland when I was on the giving end of the interview and asking him questions. He just opened up and I told him like how difficult he was to race. He was probably the hardest guy in my career to race. And he's just like, yeah, that's just me. I'm not going to change. So I respect that as well. But yeah, I mean, I think of Roxon as well. Super clean. There's not many guys that are that dirty. It's just, and those two you can't even really call dirty. They're difficult to race.
Aggressive. Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like that's one of my favorite things about the 450 class, though, is they race so hard, but it's at that level, it's respect and just, giving them that space that you need. So it's not dirty and it's cool. It's good for the fans.
And it's also, we see each other every week, right? We'll see each other on Sunday morning at the airport. We'll see each other at press day on Friday. We'll see each other at the coffee shop on Saturday morning. And then we're during opening ceremonies, as you guys know, we're all just there hanging out. So if there's bad blood, you got to face it. You got to face the music at some point and look somebody in the eye and say, man, what are you doing? Like, that was a dumb move, or vice versa. So I think it's pretty, there's a lot of respect because we're all in it together. We know how difficult it is to be at that level. So there's definitely a lot of respect. And sometimes that's where it's a bummer when guys race you unfair or borderline dirty. And you got to see them the next week. It gets tough.
Sure.
We won't bring up the Freezy thing because I know that's probably been talked to death.
I'm sure you've heard.
That's a whole nother story for everybody.
Absolutely. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
It is, until Daytona, these top three in points, they do race each other. That's what's so fun to watch, is they are so fair to each other. And it really just comes down to truly who is riding the best that night. And we love to see it. But going back to Sexton, I guess, a little bit, we had a whole list going down when it comes to Honda and championships in this Premier class. And we were just wondering, maybe your insight, Justin, being a Honda guy, what's your opinion on what do you think they've got to do? Because we've had Kenny, we've had Sexton. What do they got to do to get this Premier class championship? Is it the vibe around the pits? Do they need some more? Do they
need the fire?
Yeah,
right?
Do they need the fire a little bit more?
It's been 20 years, right?
Exactly.
Since, Carmichael.
It's been a long time, and it's not a lack of effort by any means. They've got the best guys in the business. It's just, it goes back to, it's so difficult to win in this sport. And we were a little jaded in the McGrath and Carmichael era about those guys. They just won all the time, and it was super expected. And you almost knew before the race even happened who was going to win. Well, then you fast forward to James and Chad, and you kind of knew in that era, but then you throw in Dungey and Villapoto, and Kennard was kind of the guy to challenge them. Unfortunately for Honda, he had some injuries. And then they had Tomac. He went a different direction. So I just think it's really hard to win. And then you had KTM that totally shifted their whole mindset and hired DeCoster and Ian Harrison. And then they were the best. And then you got Cooper Webb, who struggled on Yamaha, and then goes to KTM, and now he's the champ. Like, there were so many different scenarios that were, you didn't really know who was going to win. Honda had guys that could win. They obviously went after Kenny, and I think we could all argue that if he doesn't get hurt in 17, probably wins indoors out for years. But injuries, that's just the nature of the beast. So they made some good runs on it with Kenny, even as of recent. Like I said, it's not a lack of effort. I think the machine is plenty capable of winning. I mean, you can see it with Chase week in and week out being arguably the fastest guy. Yep. Kenny as well. He was the fastest guy for so many weeks, just couldn't quite close the deal on a championship. So now, they're banking on Sexton this year. He was close last summer, super close. And then you've got Jet coming up. So if they don't get one in the next few years, man, that's going to be a tough pill to swallow, because I think you could argue that to beat Dungey or to beat Villapoto was tough. To beat Tomac after he left Honda, I think they were bummed. And those guys were unreal, complete legends in the sport, some of the best ever. So just talented guys that weren't on red bikes.
It really does just take the stars aligning to some extent. You got to have the right rider at the right time. And we all know, as riders, racers, there's a certain amount of luck that does come into it. Some days weird stuff does happen. And it's horrible to see like what happened to Kenny. I have no doubt, I agree, that he would have gone on to just be incredibly dominant, but he's done his best to still have his name, be talked about. And so no doubt that he could even come back this year and and give these guys a run for their money, at least for one weekend.
Totally, yeah.
But the Honda, yeah, no doubt, it's a great bike. How much riding do you still do nowadays, Justin?
Well, before Daytona, I hadn't rode since beginning of December, so a couple, 2-3 months. I'm in Iowa. We're just kind of living here at our place, spending some time with family, and in the town I grew up in. So yeah, the weather is not too great to get outside and ride motorcycles, but I got a call last week, saying, "Hey, can you do press at Daytona and do a lap for the broadcast?" And I said, "Well, I haven't rode in a long time, for a couple months." So, and I didn't really have a motorcycle. So I called Lars, team manager at Honda HRC, and said, "Hey, would you guys have a bike, a spare one on the truck that I could ride Friday for press?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely. We'll put you on Nichols' Triple Crown bike." And then I said, "Well, I'm going to be there early. Can I come out on Thursday?" And he's like, "Absolutely. Well, all right, you can do some testing for us too while you're out. Well, I haven't rode in a while,
yeah.
so I don't know how good a feedback I can give." But I ended up spending the day with the Honda guys out at Jet and Hunter's place. Jet was out there on a 450 looking incredible and was able to give a little feedback on their bikes, which was a lot of fun. We've got a long history, like you said earlier. I've been with Honda for a long time and done some testing and development for them, and they've helped me out a ton. So, but moving forward here, I'm gonna hopefully get on. It's weird, it sparked that fire again, right? It's kind of fun to hang out with the family and not have too much stress on racing. And then obviously the race day live thing has taken a lot of time, which I've really enjoyed that. Cool. But it lit the fire again. I want to start riding, and we'll move back to Charlotte here full time in a couple months, and I'll really start riding and ride through the summer and get back on the motorcycle.
I saw that you had dipped a toe in some dual sport stuff on the 450L.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Do you have any trips
I live
planned?
in has a big OHV park and
a
lot of trails that I grew up riding, and so a lot of fun to get on that. Anything two wheels, right? It's so fun to do some riding.
Cool.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we need to get you on one of our ADV rides or something like that, camping off the bike and stuff. It's a whole different animal, but we still ride them like dirt bikes and have just as much fun. It's crazy. So
yeah, that's cool. It's funny, the older you get, the more you want to do things like that. Throughout my career, really for the past 20 years, I'm so regimented with what I'm eating, sleeping, doing this many laps, and anything beyond that's nope, I don't have time. Well, now it's I have a good bit of free time, and actually own a couple dealerships in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and there's tons of great riding out in the mountains there. So yet to experience that, but in due time though, I'll get up there and have some fun.
How much is that the extent of really your off-road riding experience? I mean, we've seen a few guys after they retire. Everybody has their own paths, whether it's making coffee or heading into off-road racing. But like the likes of Andrew Short or maybe Zach Osborne, they've kind of Andrew Short's still consistently involved with off-road racing. Has that ever sparked any interest in you?
Growing up, I had a lot of friends that rode a bunch of trails. And it sounds weird that we have trails in Iowa, but really the town I grew up in, a lot of trail riding, and I did not like it growing up. I wanted to hit whoops and go fast and hit big jumps.
Yep.
And I still kind of feel that way. I'm not big into the off-road scene. I'd honestly rather ride a Supercross track. I'm almost 40. I'll be 39 next week. And I'm I still would rather ride Supercross than go ride the trails. I don't know. It's just a little bit slower pace. And I still enjoy hitting whoops and jumps and all that. So, but in saying that, I haven't experienced it much, the whole dual sport thing. And the bikes now just seem so good. And I love mountain biking. So I feel like it would be similar if you get the right trails and the right atmosphere, the right group of people. I think it could be amazing. So I'm excited for that chapter, but while I can still do it, I want to, ride Supercross. There's just something to me about a Supercross track, even motocross track. It's fun for me, but man, I'm telling you, there's just nothing like a Supercross track. Trying to piece it all together.
Sure.
Even the risk, there's a lot of risk. Like if you're a foot short or a foot long, it's going to hurt. I still like that. So sounds weird, but yeah, here we are almost 40 still talking about it.
Yeah, it's just blown my mind at how precise you have to be with Supercross. I don't even know where to begin to get into it, honestly. It just takes so much time and practice. But with that being your thing, obviously, and racing in Indy in the past, can you tell us a little bit about the track there and who you think it's going to cater to and who we can expect to see? Obviously, our top three is fairly consistent and decided, but yeah, who you rooting for this weekend?
Well, Indy for one is one of my favorite races. I think Indianapolis as a city is a great spot, some great restaurants, and as a rider and guys on the team, that matters. You always look forward to going to St. Elmo's or Prime 47 Steakhouse downtown. Like, then there's just a vibe to it. I love it. I think the stadium's great, and the dirt is extremely soft. Through the years, it kind of goes back and forth, but last year it was really, really soft. So if it's anything like that, I mean, the weather outside is wet. It's snowing. I believe that same weather system is going to hit Indy. So it's probably going to be pretty soft. And I'm going to throw some names out that maybe we're not thinking about. Obviously, I think Tomac, he won last year. He's incredible. Probably the favorite to win. Not even probably. He is the favorite to win. But I think of Chase Sexton. It's a home race for him. That matters. We have to take that into consideration. Probably going to have a lot of friends and family there. Yep. Cooper Webb's obviously great in the ruts, and when it gets late, that track gets broke down, which it will there in Indy. He's incredible. So if he puts himself in a good position late, he's going to be hard to beat. But then I think of Aaron Plessinger. He's got to have some good rides coming up. He's really, really good in Indy. Also, somewhat of a home race for him. I think back to his 250 career, had some great rides there. But then I think about Barsha, man. Second last year. He was really, really good in Daytona. He was faster than Chase in the main event. He just couldn't get around him. Yep. So I don't know. I don't think the top three in points right now are going to be the top three on the podium. I think Barsha has a lot to prove. I think AP coming off that, I believe he got 9th last weekend. That's not where he should be and where his team expects him to be. He's already said he's excited for Indy. So I think we're going to have a little mix up of the podium. I think 2 of the 3 guys get on the podium, but that third spot, I feel like either AP or Barsha gets it this weekend.
Wow. I absolutely, it's definitely a possibility. I don't know if I'm going to be taking that bait and putting them there, but I'm glad to see somebody switching it up.
It's fun to talk about, though, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
While we got here, one more question. It's kind of been we wanted to make it a topic of discussion for this week's show. Going to the 250 guys. We're halfway through this season, and to a viewer's perspective, when it comes to the 250s, and respect to them for doing it, but it's kind of it's back to that McGrath era where we know who's going to win. Do you think there'd be any benefits to having the 250 guys race the whole season, all 17?
Well, I love that. It's been a topic of discussion for a long, long time, and the argument for the teams is then there'd be less riders and less jobs and stuff. But I think the 250 class, it used to be a regional series ride and a feeder series. It's not anymore. The guys are making more money than most of the 450 guys. They get the same amount of TV time. They're treated the same. They're in opening ceremonies now. Like I just think it, in my opinion, yeah, it's a 17-round 250 series. And if I was to have any say in it, it's open to anybody. Joey Savacci, if you want to race a 250 and you can make $500,000, go race, because he's hardly getting by in the 450 class, and he's a top 10 guy right now. That's just not fair.
Sure.
Think of Justin Bogle. He's great on a 250. He could get 250 podiums and make $500,000. Go do it. And if you're not good enough to race with those guys, then sorry, you're just not good enough. Like, and I love the privateers of our sport, but man, I just think pro sports, if you're not good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, then you're a backup. And if you're not good enough to be a backup, you don't play. And I think our sport is to that level now. And the guys like Jet are going to go to the 450 class. They're that good. They're going to be contenders for as long as they want to be contenders. But I just think that middle ground of the 450 class, where these guys are struggling to even make a living, and they're so good. Joey Savacci is so good on a motorcycle that let him stay in the 250 class a little bit longer And, there was that one point where Malcolm won the championship, didn't have a 450 ride. Joey almost won the championship, didn't have a 450 ride. Bogle, 250 champion, didn't have a 450 ride. And that's a huge bummer. That it's a broken system. So whether that's the answer to do all 17, I don't know, but I would sure like to see it. I think it would be really cool. And it's just not a regional series anymore. It's an actual legit series where these guys are making $500,000, some of them making $1 million.
That's some very interesting perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what with the two champions that come out of the 250s every year, I'd always thought that sets them up with more confidence going if they do transition to the 450 class. But maybe that's a bit of false hope almost, where they don't go into the 450s and are able to blossom like they dominated in the 250 class.
Well, and a lot of them don't get the opportunity because they don't get the proper rides or be on the proper team. In the 250 class, some of them are on the best teams, the best resources, the best trainers. And then they go to the 450 class and say the factory teams are full, or, in Savachi's scenario, Adam Cincerello was coming up. Kawasaki had to hire him. AC is one of the best, was slated to be maybe one of the best ever, and still could do a lot of winning for sure. I'm a huge fan of AC, but it was just bad timing for him. Same thing for Malcolm, and same thing for Justin Bogle. It was just unfortunate scenarios. And then also you think about the guys, Tomac's 30, Barsha's 30. I think he's going to be 31, or maybe is 31. The riders are hanging around longer. So until those guys decide to be done, the 250 guys aren't taking their spot. So unless you're Jet, right? Unless you're that literally
Superstar.
Once every 10 to 20 years, a guy like that comes along. But you think about, like, for me, my scenario, I was a 3rd place to 8th place 450 guy most of my career. And, thankfully I did enough to earn factory rides and had a great career. But if you're just on the bubble like that, it's really, really difficult. So you win a 250 championship, you think you should earn a factory ride and be on the best teams. A lot of times that just doesn't work. So that's where I feel like leave it open, let these guys and guys, there's a lot of guys that are just better 250 riders. Mm-hmm. They just are. I'm not. If I was on a 250 for my career, I wouldn't have a career. And you have guys like myself that ride 450 better, but so I think open it up. And like I said, they're getting the same amount of TV time. They're making a lot of money. A lot of them can do their own gear deals now. And so it's not what it used to be or what it intended to be many, many years ago.
Yeah. Thanks for all that. I can see a lot of our 450 guys, like Craig or Ferrandis even, you just see them struggle, and I have no doubts that they would agree with you and that they would benefit from a change like that. But thank you for everything, Justin, your time, all your insight. This has been a pleasure. And we really enjoy watching you on Race Day Live. You're killing it on there too. We get to talk to you every once in a while there. We give you some insight on our picks. I'm glad you're partaking in fantasy as well. Can you riddle us off your top 5 then? I know you gave us your podium. Who's running out that top 5?
Top 5. You're going to put me on the spot. Gosh, I think Eli wins again. I took the bait on Sexton last week, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Eli wins. I'm going to go. Man, it's so difficult. What a time to be a fan, right? Like, you can't even come close to picking the top 5. So I'm just going to reel them off. I'm going to stick to my word. I'm actually going to go Barsha 2nd.
Okay.
I'm going to go Sexton 3rd, Webb 4th, Anderson 5th.
Solid. How about
sounds good.
Thank you for those. Can I get your wild card 8th? We're struggling with this. 8th place is a tough spot.
Okay, so I was going to mention this earlier. I think Dean Wilson gets his first top 10 of the year.
Wow.
He got 7th last year in Indy. He's gotten a couple podiums in the 450 class there, or one for sure. I think he really feels good in Indy. So I don't know if he gets 8th, but I think he gets a 9th or a 10th.
Okay.
8th. Man, that's a difficult one. That's a tough one. Here I said AP was going to be doing good earlier. Now I'm thinking he might get 8th. But,
that's the same boat we're in.
We're struggling with that. Yeah.
Gosh, that's a difficult one. But you know what? I'm going to say Wilson has an amazing ride. We've seen his videos this week. He's doing quad, and whatever he was doing at the track. He's feeling good. He has a vibe with Indy. Dean Wilson gets 8th.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm sure there will be a handful of people in our chat that follow along with you there.
Hey, I got to say, just congrats again, Justin, on such a healthy, long career. It was so fun to follow, and thanks for making Salt Lake your last Supercross race. We were all there. I was in the crowd screaming my lungs out. And last year, actually, my fantasy name was Let's Go Brayton. So
yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah? I like it.
Last year, it was cool. So
last year, you did really well, too.
Salt Lake is one of my favorite places, and Park City, close by, it's one of my favorite places in the world.
Awesome.
So
heck yeah.
You guys got a great spot, and love the Salt Lake Supercross. And I appreciate all the support, and thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it so very much. And enjoy the racing this weekend, and we'll talk to you when we talk to you.
All right, sounds good. See you guys.
See ya. Awesome.
Such a good dude.
Such a good
Gosh,
dude.
Dang.
No, genuinely, yeah, awesome dude. So for guys like Brayton, guys like Dungy, I'm just so glad to see them so heavily involved. And but that insight so much good insight, but especially on the 250 riders, it's got my brain turning. Definitely.
How do we cause change?
Yep.
What do we got to do?
Those are huge changes though, but it would keep it interesting. I do have to sympathize with the privateer guys just because we all know, guys, if you're a true fan, you know somebody who's trying to make it there, and it is fun to see them get some racing and against the best of the best, but definitely some good insight there.
The top is steep. That's
no doubt.
The top is steep. There's only so many rides, right? So yeah, I do agree that splitting them gives more people a chance, and I do love the shootouts that they do. You know, when they actually bring them together and do 250.
It's always a nice change,
east and west. So
anyway, thank you again to Justin. That was fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's keep our ball rolling. Back to our stats. Maybe we dive back in, because we are running pretty long on time already, to the wild card. Let's get into some wild card stats. First guy we've got up here, and we've got plenty of them. This truly is difficult. These guys, like Barsha, let's go with Barsha, because this is so interesting. Before last weekend, he was consistently in the running for around this 8th place spot. Yeah, he would have been my pick, absolutely.
Sure. Yes.
And then he goes out and has a race like last weekend, and then coming into Indy, where last year he had such a good run, second place. It's tough it's so tough. Yeah, ripped a whole shot and led 18 laps last year. Yeah. And really it was that run-in with Anderson that just kind of softballed Tomac the ability to pass him. But who knows what would have happened otherwise. But
look at that, 8.67 before last weekend.
Yeah, before last weekend.
He would have, like Justin said, he probably should have been on the podium.
Yep.
If he didn't get blocked by Sexton there. So,
but it really is tough. I'm just gonna have to watch qualifying for him. I do think with the confidence of last weekend and the confidence of doing here last year, I think that is going to carry through, and I have more confidence in him being in my top 5 rather than
he's
than
top
8th.
5 for me, for sure.
So I don't think Barsha, although he's definitely a possibility, they all are. He's probably not my first pick. First picks, my suggestions. We've got Craig on here. Craig is definitely a solid pick for this position, especially if we truly do get like AC back. Which he could also, like we said, this list is long, people. But last 3 finishes for Craig are 7th, 8th, and 10th. But watch qualifying. He is a very consistent guy with where he finishes compared to his qualifying. Has finished within 2 spots.
8 right there. How is that not a sign? That's 3 8s, right?
So he's
my wild card.
Yep. I think he's probably, if there's 2. Maybe we come away with 2 of our best picks for the wild card, and Craig is definitely one of them. He's starting there too. So he's starting there. His last 3 main event gate drops were 10, 9, 10. So he's starting there, and then it seems like where he somewhat belongs. Going back to that 250 thing though, Chase and I have been talking about a bunch this year that Craig is just struggling, obviously, and it's just that's proof to,
it sucks to say,
some of Brayton's points. It's like he's on a different bike. He's on Husky, like a completely different bike. So that definitely could lend a hand in it. But he was so dominant on the 250, and it'd be crazy to see if he went back, what he could do. But okay, moving down the line, another one with the entry list, Nichols.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
actually.
if you can pull that up, because Nichols, I meant to ask Justin if he knew what happened to him last week. If anybody in the chat knows what happened to Nichols, let me know, because
he's on the list.
He's on the list. Okay.
Yep.
Because he is also he's a good possibility. Normally he, like, all his averages, as you can see on the bottom left, are more outside the top 10. But with Muscan and Stewart, I move him up a couple spots. So not in that top 2 for picks though, but he's definitely up for consideration.
How's the poll looking? You got a poll up right now.
What's our poll currently?
Who's
your wild card pick? JB believes Wilson, which I would love for it. I would love to see Wilson have a breakout race this weekend. I feel like he's kind of just been sucked down all year. And yeah, if he's had good history there, it very well could happen. Moving further down the list, we already mentioned Barcia, but I think he's probably ahead of it. Ferrandis sounds like he is out for at least this weekend, so we're going to move past him. Let's get the stats on Wilson, though. We'll let the conspiracy live, but I guess here's the actual
15,
stats
12,
for him.
11, 11.
So he is further back
feeling
from
good,
that. Yeah,
according to his social media.
And like Justin said, yeah, it is dependent on that. We'll just have to watch qualifying. His average qualifying is up there, though. That's what's concerning.
He's exactly the same as Craig?
Yeah.
888?
Yeah. So that is difficult when it comes to Wilson, because even if he's qualifying around that spot, this year it hasn't proved to improve his finishes.
Dang, that makes it tough.
You know what? I think it really comes down to the Husky guys. And I don't think we actually have a plate for Hampshire because he's the fill-in.
Probably not.
But Hampshire, if he's racing this weekend, he could most definitely be in this spot.
How pumped were you on the heat race, man?
It was fun to watch, without a doubt.
It was stacked. I mean, who was not in there?
That was no
Just
joke.
Tomac? He was dealing with Sexton, Webb, Anderson.
And he held them off the entire time, wire to wire.
That was so fun, man.
And coming off of that,
RJ.
like we know, mentality, confidence is so huge in our sport. And when he is basically nothing to lose, obviously he's still finishing up his 250 series. But when he's just out there for fun, essentially, nothing to prove, he could be riding really well. And I have no doubt.
That definitely makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, you got to believe that just going in there with no expectations and just trying to do your best, and this is your shot. Just do as good as you can. Yeah, it was so fun to watch. I was pumped.
Watch his qualifying. It looked like he qualified 5th last weekend to Daytona, and finished 8th overall ultimately. So he was right in that spot. It very well could happen again.
I do think Daytona was
a little unique,
coming to him a little bit more than
that very well could happen. So I would watch the qualifying.
So
yeah, definitely watch the qualifying there. Interesting to hear that Jet was doing some testing on the 450 too. I was wondering, I don't know, maybe I read into it too much, but I think we always make the assumption that it just would mess with their head so much if they're sitting there swapping bikes. These guys, especially a 450 to a 250, but I don't know. They ride so much and so well that I guess I'm sure they're able to handle it. But
well, and with as much as there is on the line with the championship, what risks do they take to possibly screw that up
or get hurt?
I was listening to a deal with RC and RV, and they were talking about that. Why not put him on some of the East Coast rounds on a 450 and test that out? And they were just agreeing that RV made the good point that there's just too much on the line. The championship, you can't risk extra racing with that, but
don't rush it. He's going to be debuting this summer, so just wait it out. It does make sense to hold out there. Brody Richard says Colt is out. So again, we'll watch for qualifying, but if that's the case, definitely don't get them in there. But I think Hampshire and Craig, I think those are your number one picks. If you're asking me, the Husky guys.
Hoping for Wilson, though. I'd love to see him get an 8th,
I'd love to see Wilson get up there a little further. But yeah.
Do we need to talk about Roxon?
Oh, we should talk about Roxon as far as let's move back. We've been stuck on wild card. How about the end of the top 5? That's more difficult. We know our top 3. It just is a matter of what order. But at a minimum, it seems like we're getting 20 or 30 points each.
Look at this, though.
We can't forget about this.
Last 5 overall finishes. 7, 5, 11, 4, 8.
But 2021, Kenny, he won all 3 Indies in a row when we did like 4, 5, and 6 when we had residency in Indy. He back to back to back.
It's almost his house based on that.
Essentially.
Right? Even though that was
the only guy to win there since was Tomac when we went last year. So Roczen is just he's a big start guy, and this is a start-oriented track for sure. It really comes down to how he does in his heat, I guess, and his gate pick. But where do you got Roczen? Is he in your top 5? That's difficult. Yeah, he's not in mine either. You know where I have him actually right now? I have Roczen in the wild card in 8th.
Oh,
he's
the truth
he's
comes
a bit
out.
further back. I'm not denying that after this weekend the percentages are going to be like 0.5% picked Roczen for the wild card, and I'll be pretty much all of them. But
there's not enough spots in the top 5 guys.
There isn't.
It makes it difficult.
And this isn't that I think. Sometimes with the wild card you just have to take chances. Sometimes, like we've seen, something flukish happens. Yeah. And I'm at the point now with 379 points where I need to make up some points somehow.
You need some points,
and
dude.
it's certainly not going to happen in the top 3.
Don't feel too bad, though. I'm sitting at 322.
Yeah, that's
I have
true.
to say, I did watch last weekend's race late, spending some time on the mountain bike, which was super fun, and I had rollover picks. Thank goodness, though, because Tomac rolled on over into first place, collected those points. It was one of my best weeks with rollovers.
With rollovers.
I don't even want to admit that,
but
guys.
don't take that advice.
Yes. Please try not to let your picks roll over.
Although we are getting to that point in the season where it really is not too bad. Like we said, we can sit here and spit as much information as we want about these top contenders, and you're going to pick with your heart, and that's okay. That's what we do.
Well, cool.
But
should we lock them in?
Let's lock them in and then hop into some.
Else?
I don't got anybody else, but we do have some memes to show. We got to credit the people with their hard work and show some memes. You want that before or after? Hey, let's
second best part of the show.
Let's do some memes real quick, and then let us actually ultimately decide on our picks. Oh, this has been a common topic around our office with Alpine Stars is doing these sweet LE kits, but it is a little difficult when Sexton, Anderson, Tomac are all wearing the same gear and they're not teammates. Run back to that one, Levi, and let people actually digest this. It's funny with the pie chart and Jet. Gets a lot of attention, but I guess he does deserve it.
Yes,
all right.
He does. He's earned it, right?
The Rocky Mountain Tough Blocks, a classic.
Giving him somewhere safe to fall.
Yep.
I hate that that's a meme, but I mean, I'm glad that it's
somewhere safe to fall. That's
right,
what it
right.
is. Yeah, we're trying to be there when it matters. Oh, that's awesome. A record drop. Let's see. We're still East Coast 250s,
You ready
right?
to die? Oh my gosh.
We're gonna see some of that this weekend for sure.
That's awesome. He's got his name for sure. I don't know if I'm happy about that or not, but it's a fact, right, guys?
It is a fact.
Yes. Who's Kanye fans out there?
We got one up here.
Let's go. That's funny.
Qualifying just.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear from somebody like Justin Brayton that we're not the only ones where Sexton has just been
tearing you
tears you up with just ripping qualifying and then having his main event.
If he's a second faster than the rest of the field in qualifying, how do you not? That just doesn't happen. Nope. I don't know that that's ever really happened, and that person not go out and just dominate the night. So,
and it's not like this happened one weekend. That was like 4 weekends in a row.
Consistent.
Sexton was qualifying a second faster. But we'll just have to see. I'd bet you right now he qualifies fastest this weekend. The kid is just so speedy.
Yep.
Okay, lock him in. Let's lock him in. You go first, man.
Jeez-o.
So I know you're gonna have this guy in there. I know you're gonna have maybe this guy in there.
Yeah, let me find a few of these here.
2 Savachi plates. And I don't know about that guy.
Nope.
Okay, so you're going with Webb first,
are we
like
missing
we
a
said.
couple?
Are we? Who are you looking for? Jason? Oh, okay. So you got Webb. There's your podium.
Ooh, nope. Okay, I got. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just gonna let you do it.
room.
You're mixing up.
Barsha podium.
Oh, were we live when you mentioned you think Sexton is not even gonna be on the podium?
This is the week that he's off the podium, guys. I know that he's been so consistent, but gosh dang, I was even hesitant to put him in 4th.
Holy cow!
Because Barsha's got his name right.
Yeah.
He's got something coming, whether it's on him or on Barsha.
Interesting.
And here's my wild card.
Craig,
Where do you want that?
Yeah, I do. I do have to admit that's a fantastic wild card pick. It's gonna hurt to put the yellow banana there.
51. Even though, okay, I want to know if you guys agree though. I was fully before the season started wanting everything to align for Sexton. 23. It's the year 2023. MJ, like he did such a killer job in the outdoors. Oh. Anyway,
and
I was
mean
just
like
hoping it lined
he
up,
is 23, right?
That ship has sailed now.
Yeah.
So,
hey, do you think it could still happen? Who knows?
Sorry, Chase. There's always next year.
What the hell is going on?
That's a very good question,
Exactly.
Charlie. Okay, well, I don't have crazy different. I'm going to swap these guys for sure.
Okay.
But that's it for changes to the podium. I'm shuffling these guys a hair.
Ooh.
Because
it was Anderson's race to lose last year in Indy, in my opinion. Before he got T-boned
before he got slammed
by Barsha, it was his race to lose.
But my take is, if these two do end up getting together, if Barsha is out for blood, I just think Sexton's going to be able to recover from it so much more than Barsha. That's my take.
Unless he puts him down.
Down? I hope that's not the case. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just going out on a limb, and I've got the banana.
Kickstart Kenny, let's
what's
go.
going on here? This is why you need wireless. It's Roxon.
Somebody warped his plate.
Yeah, I guess
Gosh,
so.
dang it.
Whose picks are better? Are we going to pick on that? I already know Wes is winning.
Let's make bets.
Yeah.
I'm going to Mesquite this next week.
We're all,
so we'll put some actual money on it.
There's our picks for you, people. I saw somebody mention that they missed the old lock 'em in graphic. Maybe we got to implement that somehow. Get some nostalgia in here, huh?
Oh, dang it. Hey, how lucky are we, though? Racing has been so dang good.
This is one of the
so
best.
Fun to watch this year.
No doubt.
My gosh.
Every single weekend.
I was going crazy during the main event and the heat races. Just so fun.
Like round 9, and I'm still this pumped for the racing this weekend. That doesn't happen like all that. Like we've had dominant people, obviously, with Villapoto, with Dungey, and in their seasons, by round 12, 13, you're kind of just like,
we're a little over it.
Okay,
jaded.
let's go race outdoors or switch something
Numb.
up, please. But this year is very different and for the better. Loving it.
Yeah, all we can hope for is a season like outdoors was last year, where it comes down to the wire.
The only way it would make it better is to have
please
3
give us
of them.
that.
Yep.
The people are saying Kobe's picks are better. Sorry.
Really?
Oh,
wow.
He is an SXpert, guys, so
Hey.
I would hope so.
Self-proclaimed.
Come on.
He's got Kenny down too low, though, I will say.
Yeah, we got a big banana fan back there.
Kenny fan.
And Levi.
All right, cool.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for submitting memes. I do want to reiterate with the ticket giveaway for Detroit that's not on this stream. Go to Monday's stream and comment in that section below. I believe we asked who your championship winner is. We're picking
now.
Yeah, we're picking now.
Halfway through the season, we're picking.
Yep. And let us know let us know that and how many tickets you would want, and we will select those winners soon. So make sure if you do comment, please be attentive to that, because there's a good chance you're getting some tickets to Detroit. Other than that, let's just show our prizes one more time. Thank you to all our sponsors of our show for making this possible, making it worth playing for the fans.
Weekly.
Yep, it is.
If you guys win a weekly, contact us.
Please.
We want to hear you on the show.
Gloat. You should brag.
Yeah.
That's nothing to hide.
And grand prizes, get you some of that.
Absolutely. Join the Discord for so many reasons. It's just fun to bench race, fun to watch memes.
Keep the memes coming too. They're
Dr.
fire.
JB is always getting. If there's an actual SXpert, it's Dr. JB. So go get some info from him if you really want to know.
Thanks,
but
Jason. Hey, enjoy the race, guys. And then Chase will be back on Monday to talk
some bench
Indy.
race.
So, yeah.
Let's. I'm hoping for a really rutted, just crazy track. That's all I can hope for. But I'm sure we'll have some good racing regardless. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you on Monday. Shout out Wes real quick for filling in last second. He killed it. If you guys are a fan of our YouTube channel, I'm sure you've seen him around. But yeah, shout out Wes for filling in. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. Yeah, Chase was out, but everything's okay. They just had a little family operation, but everything went smoothly. I did talk to him, and they're good to go. Levi.
Good job, Levi.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh, you deserve that, buddy.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm happy for you.
Fair enough. How many votes are on there?
Kickstart getting higher, please. In the actual results, please. Just a win.
No kidding.
Back to Indy and a win. How epic would that be?
For sure. Heat race, do the full sweep. Anyways, sign off number 3. We'll see you Monday, guys.
See ya.